In this video, we will explore the basis for protecting freedom of expression in the United States and the types of expressions that are not protected. We will also examine key federal laws affecting online freedom of expression and their impact on organizations, along with important issues related to information technology. The First Amendment states that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, prohibiting its free exercise, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. This also protects the right to peaceably assemble and petition the government for a redress of grievances. The Supreme Court case Miller v. California established a test to determine if material is obscene. Speech is considered obscene if it appeals to the prurient interest of the average person, depicts sexual conduct in a patently offensive way, and lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Freedom of speech includes nonverbal, visual, and symbolic expressions, such as flag burning or dance movements, and the right to speak anonymously. However, the First Amendment does not protect perjury, fraud, defamation, obscene speech, incitement of panic or crime, fighting words, or sedition. Freedom of expression is restricted when expressions are untrue and cause harm to another person. This is known as defamation. Slander is an oral defamatory statement, while libel is a written defamatory statement. Key issues around freedom of expression include controlling access to information on the internet, SLAPP lawsuits, John Doe lawsuits, pornography, internet censorship, anonymity, hate speech, and fake news. The Telecommunications Act promoted free competition among communication companies. The Communications Decency Act, or CDA, was aimed at protecting children, but much of it was ruled unconstitutional. Section 230 of the CDA, however, provides immunity to ISPs for user-generated content, provided they don't act as a content provider. The Child Online Protection Act, or COPPA, was passed in 1998 to impose penalties for exposing minors to harmful material online, but it was ruled unconstitutional. An internet filter is software that blocks access to inappropriate websites, often using a combination of URL, keyword, and dynamic content filtering. The Children's Internet Protection Act, or CIPA, requires federally financed schools and libraries to block computer access to obscene material and other harmful content. Criticisms of CIPA include transferring power to software companies, filter ineffectiveness, and creating a less capable internet for students at poorer schools due to lost federal funds. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or DMCA, addresses copyright issues and was passed in 1998. Title II limits an ISP's liability for copyright infringement if a subscriber posts copyrighted material. An ISP is not liable if they notify the subscriber of infringement and execute a takedown of the content after being notified by the copyright holder. Internet censorship is the control or suppression of online information. Speech online involves intermediaries, each vulnerable to pressure from those seeking to silence the speech. This diagram illustrates the various intermediaries involved in the path of online speech, from the speaker to the audience. Each step represents a potential point of control or censorship. Internet censorship can take many forms, including limiting access to websites, allowing only modified content, rejecting certain keywords in searches, tracking individuals' activities, jailing people for internet use, or deregistering domains hosting inappropriate content. A strategic lawsuit against public participation, or SLAPP, is used by corporations and officials against those who oppose them on public interest matters. Anti-SLAPP laws, passed in many states and the District of Columbia, are designed to reduce frivolous SLAPPs. Anonymous expression allows opinions without revealing identity. Doxing involves gathering and publishing private personal information online, sometimes for revenge or public shaming. An anonymous remailer service strips identifying information from emails before sending them to the recipient. A John Doe lawsuit is filed against a defendant whose identity is unknown because they are communicating anonymously or using a pseudonym. The plaintiff may request court permission to issue subpoenas to third parties to discover the defendant's true identity. Hate speech is persistent or malicious harassment aimed at a specific person. Most internet service providers can remove content that doesn't meet their standards. Public schools and universities must adhere to the First Amendment, but private institutions can prohibit offensive speech on their networks. A key question in judging online obscenity is which community standards apply, local or national. Companies must take reasonable steps to prevent pornography in the workplace, including an acceptable use policy that prohibits access to such sites and disciplinary action for violations. Possession of child pornography is a federal offense. Some states require computer technicians to report discovering it on clients' computers. Sexting, or sending sexually explicit messages or media over a cell phone, can lead to prosecution for child pornography. The Can-Spam Act controls unsolicited pornography and marketing. Commercial emailers must ensure from and to fields are accurate, and the subject line is not misleading. If content is sexually oriented, the subject line must include the phrase, sexually explicit. Journalism is changing rapidly. The proliferation of online sources means the internet is full of news accounts that can be highly opinionated, fictionalized, or satirical, presented in a journalistic style. Non-traditional sources of news include blogs, which may be biased, and fake news sites that modify or create entirely fictitious stories. Social media reports can spread quickly, often causing confusion and controversy rather than clarity. Employers should establish clear guidelines and a procedure for addressing freedom of expression issues in the workplace. These guidelines should align with legal obligations and organizational standards regarding employee conduct and technology use. The First Amendment protects freedom of religion, expression, peaceful assembly, and anonymous speech. Unprotected expressions include obscene speech, defamation, incitement of panic or crime, fighting words, and sedition. The challenge for federal laws is restricting children's access to inappropriate material without restricting adults. Key federal laws include the CDA, COPA, CIPA, and DMCA, which address internet content and copyright. Internet censorship, SLAPP lawsuits and anti-SLAPP laws, and anonymous expression are key freedom of expression issues. Anonymous expression, including doxing and John Doe lawsuits, focuses on the right to speak without revealing identity. Speech that is annoying or offensive is protected by the First Amendment, but hate speech, which includes threats, is not. Companies must take reasonable steps to prevent pornography in the workplace to defend against sexual harassment claims. Sexting can lead to legal issues. The Can-Spam Act regulates commercial emails, including those containing pornography. Fake news, including opinionated or fictionalized accounts, adds complexity to freedom of expression issues online.